Okay, so in this video, we're going to do the remaining problems from our textbook. So I am on, let's see where I am. I'm in section 1-3. If you want me to follow along in the textbook, we are on page 89. Okay, we're going to do problems 33, 35, 37, 39, 42, and 45. And again, just listen to what you want to listen to. See if you can help work out your own difficulties. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so here we are. So I circled the problems that we're going to work on. So here it says in exercises 33 to 40, find the equation of the tangent line to the graph of y equals f of x at the given x. Do not apply 6. Well, what does that mean? If you go back and look at the textbook, 6 is your point slope form written in function notation. So they're saying just do we're going to model what they did in example 3. So we're basically going to use y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Those are the directions that we're going to follow. Okay, so here we go. 33 is on deck, so let's start that. So I need to find the equation of the tangent line. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Then I'm going to erase and plug things in. So right now, I know that x equals -1/2. So I'm going to erase right here, and I'm going to make this x plus 1/2. Okay, so I have that done already. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to evaluate my function where x is -1/2. And when I do that, I get -1/2 in parens squared, which is +1/4. So here comes some more erasing. I'm going to erase right here, and in its place, I'm going to put 1/4. Now, instead of erasing, you could just put it underneath it so that you're following along. But my point is, I'm doing this little by little. And I haven't taken a derivative yet, because when I take a derivative, then I have another function. And that can be confusing when you first start doing this work. So now at this point, I'm going to say, let's figure out what f prime of x is. And maybe what I'll do is not even do that first. Why don't I just write that f of x equals x squared. So therefore, f prime of x equals 2x. And when I'm going to evaluate that at -1/2, what I'm getting is -1, correct? So now I'm going to erase that last little bit. Let's erase this, and in its place, put -1. I'm going to box that answer because it's my final answer, and all my support work is below. So that takes care of 33. Let's go on and we'll do 35. And we're going to follow the same plan. I'm going to say y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Okay, so looking at 35, I see that x equals 4. So right away, I'm going to replace that x1 with a 4. Then I'm going to evaluate the function. So I'm going to evaluate the function at 4, and that's going to be 3 times 4 plus 1, 12, 13. So I'm going to go back, and once again, I'm going to do a little erasing. So I'm going to come up here, and that was my y value. So I'm going to put a 13 right there. Okay, next step. I'm going to write my function out. F prime of x equals 3x plus 1 So therefore, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said prime. So hang on. Okay, much better. F prime of x equals 3. Okay, if that equals 3, does it matter what the x is? And the answer is, it doesn't matter. Your slope is domain independent. Isn't that a fancy term? So it's domain independent. It doesn't matter what my x value is. The slope is forever and ever 3. I must have a line. Oh, I do have a line. So that makes perfect sense. Okay, so that ends 35. Then let's go to 37. So 37 says to do the same kind of work. So I'm going to do the same kind of procedure. And if this works for you, follow me. If you like to do it your way and you're successful, I'm fine with that. I just need to see your work and I need to see your reasoning. Okay, so 37. All right, so I think I'm just going to only do, yeah, let's think about this. 37. What does 37 look like? 37 looks like this. Okay, so when I take the square root, I'm only going to take the positive. So that means that when I figure out what my y is, and I say f of 9, I can only get y values that are positive because that's what my domain restriction tells me. So I'm not going to say plus and minus because that would not be appropriate to the given function. So this is just going to equal 3. So what was that? That's your y1. Come up here, and that's going to be there. Now, look at your function that I drew over in the upper left-hand corner. If I draw a tangent line to it, it's definitely going to be positive. So if I take my first derivative and evaluate it and don't get a positive, something is wrong. So you want to keep thinking about the functions that you're working with. Okay, so next thing, let us get our derivative. So I'm going to write down my original function, which is, I'm going to write as x to the 1/2, getting ready to use the power rule. Therefore, f prime of x equals 1/2, and then this is going to be x to the negative 1/2, which is going to be 1 over 2 radical x. Okay, so f prime of, our number was 9, equals 1 over 2 radical 9, which is 3, because it has to be positive. 1 over 2 times 3 is 6. So let's go ahead and we can change that. So I have 1/6. Okay, next thing. I'm going to slide down and try to do 39. So let me see if I can see it. So I can see it a little bit. I'll have to write it down. So drawing a line so you can see where I'm stopping. And 39, I'm going to do the same thing. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And if I know that, I'm just going to look and see, what does this function look like? So I'm going to take my graphing calculator. So I want you to do this as well. Square root of x. And I'm going to graph it. And I'm going to see where it lives. So let me zoom standard. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. So this is a rational function. So 39 is going to look like this, because I need to have this information to know how I'm going to handle this function. So it is asymptotic to both the vertical axis and the horizontal axis. That's what's going on. Okay, so now let's start our work. So I first want to figure out what my x value is. It is 4. I'm going to change that here, make that a 4. Then I'm going to figure out my y. So f of 4 is going to be 1 over radical 4. Okay, so do I need plus and minus? And the answer is no. I only need the plus because I cannot have any y values that are below the x-axis. So that's why I'm just using plus. So you have to keep thinking through this process. Okay, so you can't go on total autopilot. So this is 1/2. Now let's work on the slope. So I'm going to see my function 1 over radical x. So my f of x equals 1 over radical x. So that also equals x to the negative 1/2. So therefore, f prime of x equals negative 1/2 times x to the negative 3/2. Okay, so let's work that out. So I'm going to write this so I can use it. Negative 1 over 2. Then I'm going to take the square root of x. And then once I have the square root, I'm going to cube it. So I'm going to do this where I have a 4. So f prime of 4 equals negative 1 over 2, the square root of 4, and then I'm going to cube that. So I have negative 1, then I have 2 times, okay, the square root of 4 is 2, and 2 cubed is 8. So 2 times 8 is 16, so I should have a slope of negative 1 over 16. Let me just check to make sure that that is, yep, that's good. Okay, so up here, I'm going to erase this, make this an equal sign, and put negative 1 over 16. Hopefully you can see this. I know it looks like I'm writing pretty small. And that is that answer right there. Okay, so we got rid of all the basic ones. Now we're ready for some challenge. So 42, let's read it and then I'll work it up down below. The tangent to the graph of 1 over, and that should be 1 over x, right? So this is x, 1 over x. You can always look in the textbook if you can't read it. At the point a comma 1 over a is perpendicular, so it's perpendicular to the line y equals 4x plus 1. Find the point. Okay, so let's think about this. What's the slope of the tangent line? It must be negative 1/4. Okay, that's the exact slope. What is the generic slope? That's what we're going to figure out. So, doing 42 over here, what we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, if y equals 1 over x, then that means that y equals x to the negative 1. Y prime, which is prime notation meaning derivative, is negative 1 x to the negative 2. Since I have to do some evaluation, I'm going to say, let's write it so I can understand it. Okay, this is your generic slope. This generic slope, we discovered, has to equal negative 1/4. So this has to equal negative 1/4. So what's x going to be? It looks to me like x is going to be 2. Okay, so if x is 2, what's y? So what's my point? So far, I have a 2, then don't I have a 1/2? Because isn't this my function? So here is the point in question. So let's go up. So find the point. We've just found it. It's 2 comma 1/2. So 2 comma 1/2 is your point. So then they want us to plot two things. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm on the wrong problem. You go up here. Okay, so do they just want that? They just want that. They just want P. P, we're done. Okay, so that's 2 comma 1/2. So this is going to be just 2 comma 1/2. And this is my supporting information. Okay, so now I need to find a place to work on the next one. So let's do that. Oh, kind of over here, I guess. I don't have a whole lot of choices. So I'm going to block this off. I could have added another piece of paper. That probably would have been wise, but that's okay. So find the point on the curve of y equals radical x where the tangent line is parallel to the line y equals x over 8. Okay, don't let that throw you. What's your slope? Look at that. Your slope is going to be 1/8. Do you see that? 1/8. So find the point on the curve of y equals radical x where the tangent line is parallel to the curve at y equals x over 8, which you can also write 1/8 times x. So that slope is 1/2, it's 1/8. So first off, I know that my curve is y equals radical x. So to do 45, if my curve was y equals radical x, that's y equals x to the 1/2. So what's my generic slope? It's going to be 1/2 x to the negative 1/2. And this is just going to be 1/2 radical x. Okay, so is everything okay there? Yes. Okay, so let's figure this out. If this is my slope, my generic slope, and that has to equal, so let me just scoot up, it has to equal 1/8. How is that going to happen? That would mean that this term would have to be 4, right? So what, the square root of what is 4? The square root of 16 is 4. So what I'm finding is that my x has to be 16. So my x equals 16. Okay? If my x equals 16, what's my y? Well, my y is going to be the square root of 16, and that's going to be 4. So how do I know it's not negative 4? Well, look at the function. This is this function. There are no negative y's. So here's your point, 16, comma 4. That's your point. So that's the first thing. Find the point. We found it. On the same axis, plot the curve y equals radical x, and then also the line y equals x over 8, and the tangent line to y equals radical x that's parallel to y equals x over 8. Okay, so this is going to be messy on this. So what should I do? So perhaps what I should do is do this on GeoGebra. So, or I could just, yeah, let's just do that. So I'm going to go to GeoGebra. Hopefully I won't have to change screens. So here's GeoGebra. And it looks like this went over nicely, so that's good. Okay, so let me get rid of this. And let me come down here, and I'm going to put some input in. So what shall I input? So let's see what they want us to do. On the same axis, plot the curve y equals radical x. So this is going to be y equals the square root of x. So how do I get an x? Right here. Okay, so that's that function. So let me just slide this over because it looks like that's where we're going to have it. Okay, I need another thing. The line y equals x over 8. So down here it's going to be y equals, and it's going to be x divided by 8. Okay, so that's there. We've got two things. And the tangent line to y equals radical x that is parallel to y equals 8 over x. Okay, so we have to figure out that tangent line. So let's write that tangent line out. So I'm going to go to another. Well, let's not do that. That would be a mistake. Let me back out of that. Whoops, I don't want to do that. So hold on. So can I edit this? Why don't I just delete that for right now, and I'll go back and fix that. So this was supposed to be y equals x divided by 8. Okay, so now I'm ready for the next one. Okay. All right. So now the next one is going to be this tangent line, which we haven't figured out yet. So we're going to do this on the fly. So it's y minus 4, because 4 was the y value, right? Equals, see how am I going to do this? 1 divided by 8. And then I need a paren. There's a paren. Oops, not there. So go back. Okay, so we come back up here. I'm going to delete this. This is taking me longer than anticipated, but hopefully you're learning something about this whole thing. Delete. Okay, so let's go again. So I need y minus 4, and then that's going to equal 1 divided by 8. Okay, so then I have to keep going. So let me see how I want to do this. Okay, I'm going to do this in an ad hoc fashion so I can get this done. So I'm going to delete that again, and let's try this. The y minus 4 part is very easy. Y minus 4 equals. Okay, so I'm going to put parens, and I'm going to say x minus 16. And I'm going to put it, and then I'm going to come out of there. Can I? Okay. I'm going to put another set of parens and say 1 divided by 8. Okay, so that works. So then let's enter. Good. Okay, so what do I have? If you were to graph, so let me just try to move this graph. So I want to move this over during this quadrant. That's what that would look like. So how helpful is that? So let me go to settings, and let me change this color to red. Okay, so what I'm seeing is the black line is the y equals 1 over 8. Do you see how this line that's black is parallel to the red line, which is the tangent line? That's key. We wanted to see that. And do you see how it's tangent? Now, can I find the point? So what was our point? 16 comma 5, 16 comma 4. So this point is 16 comma 4. So I wonder if they'll do that as a point. So no. So let me figure that again. Delete. Okay, so let me put it in parens perhaps and say 16 comma 4. Yes, that's the point of tangency. And now we're all good. So you can see the point of tangency. You can see also the parallel line below it, and you can see the tangent line. So there they all are. Okay, and you can kind of change the axis however you want to have that image. Okay, so that's it. So we've done all of these. I hope this made sense. Thank you for enduring through GeoGebra, but GeoGebra is a nice way to graph. So thank you. I hope this helped clear up some problems. Ask me more questions if you need to.